Good morning. This is Heraya Sapallo. My thesis is HARIMANAWARI, General Luna Socialized Housing Project, developing post-disaster housing design for community rehabilitation through resilient architecture.
The design concept of the project is post-disaster relief and resiliency, incorporating the community's collective aspiration for the rehabilitation process in response to the post-disaster relief and adapting to the environmental context through advocating resilient strategies. This is crucial for sustainable development and long-term solutions. The design considerations and style guiding principle include the following: user, resilience, flexibility, environment, and modern tropical architecture, bamboo architecture, and the use of modular housing design. The design philosophy, the Architect Shigeru is to use our experience and knowledge more for the general public through understanding culture and humanitarian architecture. We can contribute to the betterment of communities and promote inclusivity. Sub-concept includes the resilient community model, using the environment as the physical foundation wherein it is bonded by three factors, such as the infrastructure for the living, or the residential structures, activity sites for recreation and landscape, and by the spatial pattern and traffic roads. These factors consider the public essence of the users, which is translated from the collective aspiration of the community. The form concept of the site is the grid type of planning and follow the site form due to irregularity wherein the following are plotted in the sites. The residential buildings, activity sites, and roads are combined and used together. Here's the project's environmental systems adapted in the structural, electrical, firefighting, water supply, drainage, sewage, and landscaping. Tony's scheme also followed the resilient community model for the division of the residential and non-residential structures.
The site is located in Region 13 Caraga, and the site is surrounded by the following landmarks. Here is the diagram for the sand and wind analysis, road network, pedestrian access, vegetation, and source of the noise. The aerial perspective of the site shows the site's access, main entrance and utility entrance, and the following structures for the row houses, single attached houses, vertical housing block, multi-purpose neighborhood center, parks and playground, livelihood center, engineering, maintenance office, MRF, and STP. The site planning principle in mind is to forefront the goal of a resilient community model. The proposal incorporated the use of grid planning. Firstly, it provides a clear and simple way of organizing land use and transportation, allowing for efficient use of space and easier navigation. Secondly, the regular pattern of streets and blocks can provide a clear and organized visual structure, making it easier for developers to plan and fit more housing units to cater more families. The focal point is placed at the center, allowing flexibility and easy access to various blocks, whereas these points are the neighborhood center, livelihood center, and the parks and playground. Placed on each development is the utilities zone where the MRF and STP is also located. To the site vulnerability to storm and flood hazards, there are 12 rainwater collecting devices on the center of the site placed on a small detention basin wherein this system prevents the site from flooding and the way to respond to possible disasters. The total plot area is 3 hectares. The quantity of units are 254. The number of motorcycle parking is 180 and the number of car parking is 54. For the computation of the land allocation for saleable and non-saleable area, starting from the maximum of 70% of the gross area, 70% of 30,000 square meters is equal to 21,000 square meter, and 30% of the gross area is 9,000 square meter. The single attached floor area is 20.25, row house floor area is 27 square meter, and the vertical housing units floor area is 48 square meter. Here is the view from the site's main entrance. Part of the horizontal development is a single attached, which has a floor area of 20.25 square meter with a lot of 48 square meter. The design of the house aligns with the provision of the BP220 to include a front, side, and rear setback of 1.5 to 2 meter respectively. The house is elevated 0.60 meters above the ground based on concrete pedestals. The house has porch, outdoor dining, living and dining, kitchen, bedroom, toilet and bath and laundry area. The bedroom can be used as a safety room wherein the floors can be elevated to 0.5 meters. The doors in front are folding doors to have access to porch and be used as an extension of the living and dining area. Design elements like tilted roofs, elevated stilts, storage windows, skylights, ventilation systems, and flexible living spaces create a harmonious living environment. These elements reduce heat gain and prevent floodwaters. Proper air circulation and adaptability are essential for maintaining a cool interior during hot summer months. Here is the isometric view and elevation of the model. Here is the exploded view of the modular house, which shows the components used. Shown here are the wall panels, the grids attached to it, the doors, the windows, and the roof components. On the left side is the sectional view of the house, showing the space for the toilet and bedroom, kitchen, dining, and living area. Here is the exterior render and also the interior render of the house. Here is the board used for the single attach. Originating from the plans and following the design of the single attach, the house used the 1.5-meter side setback for horizontal expansion using additional modules. The house expanded is categorized as a row house and still follows the provisions for the BP 220 for the front and rear setback of 1.5 to 2 meters respectively. The house has a total floor area of 27 square meter and lot area of 48 square meter. Here is the elevation and also the isometric view of the house. Here is the sectional view as well as the exterior of Bayay Harimanawari row house. The interior of the Bayay Harimanawari. Here is the section of the house showing the lines and cut of the house in its structural components. Here is the board used for the row house. Here is the modular components. Bayay na hajab or bahay na mataas translated in Tagalog is a vertical housing block derived to sustain the needs of the community as a response to its environmental context. The building block is a 5-story building elevated 3 meters from the natural grade line, wherein the ground floor is used as a car, motor, and bike park. Here are the elevation and exploded view of the Bayay na hajab. On its center is a rainwater collection device and a small detention pond connected to the sloping butterfly roof to take advantage of the rainwater, store and use it to increase and aid the water capacity of the building. The ground floor has also utility spaces for pumping and engineering room. The second, third, and fourth floors are used as a shelter component with 10 units on each floor using a modular components for flexibility and adjustment of plants on each block. Each unit is a 48 square meter unit that is able to house 6 to 10 household members. Each modular component can be attached and reattached and be adjusted according to the needs of the users using a sample plan for the corner, inside, and open block. The fifth floor is mainly used as an evacuation center, protected by the V-roof supported by rafters enveloping the magnificent size of the building and huge open space ready to be used anytime. However, for the open space to sustain the needs of the families, the fifth floor can also be used as a laundry area and adapt the means of vertical farming for food security. Overall, Bayay na Hajab or the vertical housing block can accommodate 30 families with modular components and flexible spaces. The building is designed to be resilient and be able to sustain the family that dwells in it. This is a sample planned interior and its potential configuration for the corner blocks, for the inside block, as well as for the open block. Marajao Karajo, or beautiful fire, is a structure supporting the craft and livelihood of the users. Through encouraging the users, it enables them to continue working and operate their means of livelihood. This building is used as a support to the building too. That's why the spaces for the ground floor are used as a stock area for the items on display and those that are ready for storage in the building too. On its second floor are the training and workshop room to educate the users. The building too functions as a rentable space open for market and tourism purposes. The food and craft market section allows dry and wet goods as well as crafted items with the residents as support to their livelihoods, while the service and tourism section allows those users who are specializing in tours and surfing lessons for tourists. The sign is inspired by waves crashing, that's why in a glance, it's like waves merging at the center. Kabuntog is the old name of the municipality. The neighborhood center is named after this to remind the residents of the island then. The center is divided into three structures, wherein the first one on the left is used as a multi-purpose room with two toilets. On its center is the lounge and reception that allows access on the structure on its side. And on the right side is the structure for offices such as the Disaster Management Office, HOA Administrative and Accounting Office, Employees Lounge and Locker Room. Here is the sectional view of the kabuntog. The structure uses bamboo and thatch roofs and uses passive cooling strategies. It also has additional features for rainwater collection. Here is the exterior render of the kabuntog. Here is the board used for kabuntog and also the perspective of parks and playgrounds and also for utilities area. Thank you, that's all.